Hockey Night in Canada brings you to Edmonton, Alberta. And yes, the True North has arrived. Finally, crystal clear day, but frosty. Dash 15, the Edmonton Oilers, last year's Stanley Cup finalists. The Winnipeg Jets, last year's President's Trophy winners. Both clubs trying to find their footing. That's the captain, Adam Lowry, called a players-only meeting after a loss to Buffalo. Jets have gotten 3 points out of a possible 4 since. They're on the second of a back-to-back. Adam Henrique opposite Lowry in the face-off circle, and we're underway. Jack Michaels, Louis DeBrusk, got him ringside. And it's Edmonton and Winnipeg, first of 3. They'll meet again right after Christmas in Winnipeg. Shoveled in by Andrew Mangiapane, and that's knocked down by Dylan Samberg. Winnipeg beat Buffalo last night by a count of 4-1, avenging a loss earlier in the week. Edmonton pounded Seattle 9-4 on Thursday. Samberg over to Pionk, his shot wired wide, picked up by Lowry. On to Jonathan Taves, and then belted wide again by Samberg. Karam off the boards, handled by Pionk. Sometimes you see a team on the second of a back-to-back have their legs early. Taves inside, a quick shot on starter Stuart Skinner. He makes the save on Perfetti, and the rebound will be handled by Darnell Nurse.
Routine hard around early on for Edmonton in the defensive zone, and Dylan Samberg with a nice step up to keep it alive. Created 2 chances after that, something Edmonton's going to have to be aware of. These defense aren't going to back off the line.
Eric Comrie wanted icing there. Mangiapane slashed it in from beyond the red, didn't get the call. Here's Zach Hyman to McDavid, and kind of a last-second decision. Tried to thread it through to Nugent Hopkins, did not pan out. McDavid a hat trick on Thursday, and a short side stuff eventually taken by DeMello up to Gabe Vilardi. This has been Winnipeg's top line all year by a mile, and that's, of course, the Vilardi, Scheifele, Connor line. And as we've got a whistle and a face-off coming back into the Winnipeg zone, there's Eric Comrie, his 3rd stint with the Jets, Louis.
Yeah, and he's getting a heavy workload here with Connor Hellebuck out of the lineup and just having that quick knee scope that's going to keep him out for some more time. 9 of 10 he started now in this stretch for Eric Comrie, by far his best stretch of busyness in the National Hockey League, and we thought we were going to see him play this morning, Tomas Milic, but he's going to back up once again.
Milic just 1 start to this point for Winnipeg. Hellebuck expected to resume skating here in the next 24 to 48 hours. A shot by Koepke and a save made by Skinner. Koepke had a goal and an assist last night, his 4th career multi-point game. Samberg sends it down low. Ekholm up the left-hand side. Jets did not skate this morning on the second of a back-to-back, where they're 2-0 this year. Oilers, meanwhile, have won just 3 out of 11 after a victory this season. They haven't won back-to-back games in regulation since games 2 and 3 of the regular season. Savoy coming off a 2-goal game. Podkolzin scored as well. Draisaitl tries to follow it up. Twisted the other way by Logan Stanley. And now a clear by Luke Schenn. The one change that Winnipeg's made to its lineup from last night. Schenn, the veteran, in. Salamonson, the rookie, out. Here's Nugent Hopkins off to McDavid. Dishing off. Emerson a drive, and then kicked off the plexi. Handled by Zach Hyman, who scored on a breakaway last night. Shovels down low to McDavid. He and Draisaitl both 4-point games on Thursday. McDavid trying to feather that one through and almost got it to Emerson. That was a minefield. He tried to get it in there.
Yeah, a little patience, too, there by McDavid, just to wait, and he had a little time.
Hyman took the hit to make the play. McDavid, a shot, save, rebound, score! Ryan Nugent Hopkins, the finish. It starts with the willingness to take some punishment, and then Nugent Hopkins finishes the play with his 7th of the year, 1-0 Edmonton.
Yeah, quick start here for Edmonton. Quick start for Connor McDavid in this line, too. He's buzzing right now. And once he gets his puckets in high gear, quick little drop into the middle, with speed, little stop. Once he stops there, it's a separation. And we've talked about this, the hat trick. Last game, it's the shooting mentality of Connor McDavid. That shot results in a juicy rebound off of Comrie's right pad. Guess who's there? Ryan Nugent Hopkins to get there first and jam it home for a 1-0 lead. Quick transitional play, easy little pass into the middle, and get the puck to the net. Good things happen. 1-0 Edmonton.
And McDavid was positively effusive about being reunited with Hyman Hyman and Nugent-Hopkins for the first time this year. It was only the third time they'd suited up against Seattle. I still like Hyman's willingness to take a pop from the 6'7" Stanley on that play.
Create some room.
That was the trigger man. Perfetti. Up top, DeMello. Taves wide open. His shot was blocked. And the rebound comes free to Curtis Lazar. Jonathan Taves at age 37. Took a couple years off after a 15-year run in Chicago. And now playing for his hometown team in Winnipeg. Speaking of his hometown, of course, Eric Comrie is playing in his hometown tonight. Jets goalie from Edmonton. Big collision. Lazar and Lowry. Lazar was flattened, but Darnell Nurse comes away with the puck and hoists it inside the Winnipeg line.
Yeah, good block by Regula on that Taves shot, by the way, Jack. I mean, he was right in the wheelhouse letting that go, and Alec Regula took it away.
Gabe Vilardi tied up at the Edmonton line, and now Podkolzin breaks into the Winnipeg zone. Punch back toward Bouchard. Draisaitl will come up with it for Edmonton and send it across to Ekholm. Rink wide, Podkolzin staggered and knocked off his stick by Sandberg, and here comes Kyle Connor. 7 30-goal campaigns to Vilardi. Beautiful dish, shot Scheifele, and that handcuffed Skinner, but he made the save. Rebound popped out to Sandberg. His shot blocked by Bouchard. A strike to Draisaitl. It's a breakaway. Draisaitl, backhander score. 2-0 Edmonton.
Big boys are rolling here for Edmonton. This is a good save off of Scheifele by Stuart Skinner. A couple chances in the slot by the Jets. That one's taken away on the ensuing play. Gone is Leon Draisaitl on the stretch pass. And him and Savoy are right there. It's Bouchard that threads this up. Sorry, Mangiapane is there with him. And he just gets it, his feet going into high gear, goes to the backhand, drives it home 2-0 early on in this one for the Oilers. Big save at one end, breakaway at the other.
Bouchard 3 assists in the Thursday pounding of the Kraken. And a gorgeous feed to Draisaitl, who deposits home his 17th of the year. Once again, inside the top 10 goal scorers, Leon Draisaitl, who had a goal and 3 assists on Thursday. DeMello up the right-hand side. The Jets have been staggered here in the early going. The visiting team has won the last 6 games between these two clubs. Winnipeg's won 3 in a row in this building, but a quick start for the Oilers. 2 goals and $1.37. Josh Morrissey unwinding that shot, sailed wide. Niederreiter couldn't make a play, and Janmark with a successful wedge up to Mangiapane, who got popped by Morrissey but got it in deep. Comrie will leave it for Logan Stanley. Snatched away Nugent-Hopkins, and now Hyman. Eric Comrie's never played more than 20 NHL games in a single season. And as Louis talked about, heavy workload. Starting 9 of the last 10. Nugent-Hopkins to Regula. And then Nurse took his eye off it. Here comes Cole Koepke driving down the right-hand side. Nurse able to reel him in easily. And now Regula engaged with Morgan Barron. Tanner Pearson scored in last night's win over Buffalo for the Jets. Can't get on track here. McDavid drops it back for Regula. Oilers in their alternate third jerseys tonight. Nugent-Hopkins to Regula. And according to Louis DeBrusk's research, they're a perfect 2-0.
There you go.
Bouchard to McDavid. Pounded against the end boards. And a clear by Barron back through center. Bouchard to Hyman. Drop pass McDavid. Hard to the hole. Cuts back to the other side. Bouchard in front, trying to find the stick of Podkolzin. Ekholm able to hang on to it. Pionk rolls it over. Sandberg on to Perfetti, who missed time at the beginning of this year with an ankle injury. He just got drilled by Podkolzin. He was finished. Bouchard across. Broken up by Pionk. Ekholm wound it around to Leon Draisaitl. Angled to Bouchard. Ekholm. Back to Draisaitl in his office. Deep in that right circle. Slithers up top and then turned it over. Perfetti with an easy steal and a flip toward the Edmonton line. Draisaitl, the puck carrier. Podkolzin to Ekholm. The shot saved. Comrie. Rebound. Popped home. 2 goals on Thursday, scores his third in 2 games. And Edmonton has raced out to a 3-0 lead.
Yeah, Thomas Milic on the bench is watching this right now. Back-to-back games for Aaron Comrie here, and 3 goals against already. Hasn't even been 8 minutes in the first period. This is all because of the transitional play once again. Watch this. As soon as this puck turns over, Draisaitl quickly turns. He's up the ice. And then that from there on the entry into the zone, it's a nice play by Boncoles, and he gives it to Ekholm, who takes this sharp angle shot and drive to the net. Similar to Nugent Hopkins getting the inside track, the smaller Savoy gets inside on Lowry, and he chops this one home on the backhand side. 3-0 Edmonton. There's a timeout, rightfully so, by Scott Arniel beside me here, Jack, and he's having a real serious conversation. It's not screaming, it's not yelling. It's like, hey, this one is going to get away from us in a big hurry if we don't start dialing things in here.
Oilers in these sweaters now have played 6.5 periods, and they've scored 18 goals.
I think they like them.
12.5 to go in the first period. And Louis, I mean, hey, we're 7.5 minutes into the game. You better get to this right now. Forward thinking, brought to you by Workday. Moving business forever forward.
Well, case in point for the Winnipeg Jets, and I'm sure Scott Arniel was saying the same thing. We need to get back. We need to play to our identity, which is a defensive-minded team that looks for our chances the right way. And they've been excellent at it the last few years. One of the best defensive team in the league. And for the Oilers, all hands on deck. It's got to be everybody. The big boys are running already early in this one. You just saw Savoy score his 3rd goal in 2 games. They need more from everybody. They know it. They've been getting it.
Morrissey drives it in deep. Winnipeg's a veteran, battle-tested team just like Edmonton. But the Jets have to find their feet under it. Here's McDavid with a drop pass. Now Nugent Hopkins to Hyman. And you can just see by the way Edmonton's handling the puck, Louis. The Oilers are feeling it right now.
Starting to find some chemistry. And this has been the best stretch by far of them in this regular season. In finding some line combinations that are staying together and just some jam, literally.
Stanley across. Waiting his shin. Now in his 18th year, McDavid, a nice play off the half wall, right around Stanley, leads a 3-on-2. Nugent Hopkins drops it back. McDavid forced out wide by Kyle Connor, and then a try from Nurse got on net. Comrie steered that into the corner. Here's Regula. Managed to hold it in with help from Nurse. Soft toss down low. Tomashik back in the lineup, absorbs a hit from Shen. Trent Frederick gets it back from Nurse. Shot on net, save Comrie. Rebound available. And a hand pass coming. The Oilers have scored 3 goals in 4 straight periods. Nugent Hopkins, Draisaitl, Matt Savoy on Hockey Night in Canada.
I thought I passed away a couple of potential goals versus Minnesota, which ultimately cost us a win in a 1-0 game. So he fired off 7 shots against Seattle, was rewarded with a hat trick, and so far he and his teammates have fired 9 at Comrie tonight, 3 of which have gone in. Yeah.
Thank you, Okie. Vlad Nemestikov moved to center. Midway through the win over Buffalo. Playing between Niederreiter and Alex Iafallo. Here's Pionk with a strike to Niederreiter. Flipped over to Nemestikov. One-timer fanned upon by Iafallo, the ex-King. Shot from distance by Pionk. Pinballs right back to him. Nemestikov from a sharp angle. Tess Skinner, who handles it easily. Regula up to Tomashik. Slashed it away from Sandberg, and now Lazar follows up. Hacked out of there by Nemestikov. This is going to be icing against the Jets.
Sometimes it pays to be a bad fan. Every game is your game. Bet with Sports Interaction.
How are you giving back this holiday season? Join CBC in supporting food banks in your community. All it takes is 1 can of food, $1, even 1 hour of your time. Visit cbc.ca/kind for more information. Adam Henrique, at one point in his previous 15, got 2 helpers against Seattle. He'll line up against Nemestikov and win the face-off. Iafallo got there first, though, and Sandberg will toss it off the glass off of Kulak and out of play into the Winnipeg bench, where Scott Arniel's Jets, who won 56 games a year ago, trying to find their footing. You know, much has been made about how Edmonton hasn't won back-to-back games, especially in regulation, since mid-October. Well, it's been since November 1st since Winnipeg won back-to-back games in 60.
A lot of guys in and out of the lineup for the Jets, obviously without their top goaltender and Vezina winner and Connor Hellebuck, who's a guy that gives them a chance to win every night. He really does. I mean, he's that good of a goaltender, but this is a strong defensive team in front of him, and when it's a goaltender like that, they're a team that can just really buckle it down. Trying to get back to that, not easy on the fly, but this is a team, like you mentioned earlier, Jack. They're a veteran team. They have a lot of guys that with a lot of pride in the room. There's one guy right there, Adam Lowry, the captain, who called that closed door meeting, players only, after that loss to Buffalo. That came out, lost in a shootout to Montreal, and then a win last night versus Buffalo again. Got into a big scrap in that game versus Montreal against Arbor Jacki after a big hit, and that's just a leader trying to lead the way. And for Eric Comrie, he's in a little unfamiliar territory here, but he's been around for a while. This guy's been waiting for this opportunity. He's up to the task, and Edmonton's got on him early here in this one.
Both of these teams lost 5-1 to the Sabres in Western New York. Edmonton gets its rematch with Buffalo in its next outing on Tuesday. In fact, this is the first of 3 straight home games for the Oilers. Well, they'll get their opponent on the second of a back-to-back. 3 in a row. Next week, Buffalo and Detroit also will be on the second of a back-to-back. Ekholm off to Bouchard, and now Leon Draisaitl hovering. Challenged by Taves. Maintains possession. Ekholm across. Bouchard slap pass. That ricocheted right to Draisaitl. Nearly gave it away, but Lowry did not get it out of the zone. And now Podkolzin. One-timer Bouchard, and that ended up on the glass. Draisaitl able to handle the rebound of that
Half controls.
mile-an-hour shot. Finally, Morrissey able to pick it up for Winnipeg. What an explosion of offense he's had over the last 3 years. Never reached 40 points the last 3 years. The lowest total he's had is 62. Here's McDavid. Ran into traffic in the form of Kyle Connor. Now Lowry centers with a quick chance and a save on Skinner against Connor. He's got that lightning quick release. But speaking of lightning, here's McDavid. In across the line, Hyman running interference, and McDavid whiffed on that centering pass. Stanley will punch it out for the Jets. Nurse to Regula. Boy, Kyle Connor doesn't need much time, does he, Louis?
He's got quick hands. One of the most prolific scorers since he was drafted in 2015.
McDavid has shot to save. Connery, rebound available. And Darnell Nurse, who had wandered down low, unable to stuff it home. Nugent Hopkins to Hyman, inside to McDavid. Regula was backdoor instead. It's Nurse down the slot, a save. Connery and a rebound. For a moment, sitting there, McDavid couldn't finish. He's drawn a trip, I believe. And the Oilers to the power play, already armed with a 3-0 lead.
First power play in the game will go to Edmonton again, hemming in the Jets in the zone of McDavid, who's had his feet moving. Quick little jump inside. He gets a good little chance as he brings us around, tries to go far side. That one saved. This spin move right here is where the left leg of Connor.
He'll wrap him in 4 no-contact sweaters, Jack.
Yeah, that won't be a surprise. Connor Hellebuck, I mean, you're talking about back-to-back Vezina trophies. Last year he was the MVP. Here's a lead pass. That's offside against Evan Bouchard for Oiler power play that just torched Seattle for 4 for 5 on Thursday.
A little different look there, too, by the way. That was McDavid that was throwing that stretch pass up the ice, not driving it into the zone like he normally does. That was Bouchard at the offensive blue line. So just a little switch there, and maybe trying to catch the Jets, anticipating that drop pass back to McDavid and him coming up the ice.
And Winnipeg, normally stingy on the kill, Louis, has given up power play goal 4 straight. This is not a team that you try to break out of a slump against, typically, in that department. Edmonton, the second best goal differential in the league on special teams. Pretty solid penalty kill as well. Here's Bouchard hitting the trailing McDavid. Lost it at the line. That'll be shoveled the other way by DeMello. It's a good start for Winnipeg on the kill.
First minute, haven't been able to set up in the offensive zone.
Draisaitl pushed it back. McDavid charging in, twisted back. Draisaitl, second in the league with 8 power play goals. McDavid has 5. Nice corral by Nugent Hopkins. He'll get it back a second time for Bouchard. Give it up for McDavid, hard to the net. Draisaitl, one-timer, ripped and scored. Evan Bouchard extends Edmonton's lead to 4-0.
Well, they couldn't get in the first 58 seconds. Once they did, though, they go to short work, and it's the blast by Bouchard. Excellent movement. Good keep-in by Nugent Hopkins. On this one right here, could have easily gone out of the zone with a good stick by DeMello to get a little piece of it. But once it sets up, comes from high to low, back out to Draisaitl. You typically expect him to one time, then a big malfunction at the junction in front of the net here. You're going to see Hyman on the doorstep, and as Comrie comes exploding out, anticipating that one-timer from Draisaitl, there's nowhere for him to go but a wall. I mean, it's a wide-open net for Bouchard to blast this through. 4-0.
They're contemplating a challenge, long look at
it's
it.
Gonna be, it won't, there's no way because he was standing there. He didn't move, and I don't think he was in the blue paint. So at first I thought so too because of the way Comrie came out. But if you watch Hyman on the setup, he doesn't move. Once he gets in position here, he just stays there. Now his stick is a little bit in there, but I just think that's a goalie coming right into him. They're not going to challenge. Face-off drop is 4-0.
They looked at it a long time, but made no move in that direction. Bouchard from Draisaitl and McDavid. Power play goal. And for the Oilers, that's their 7th power play goal in their last 11 attempts.
Well, you know, no question the scouting report for Comrie. He knows that. 4-time 50 goal scorer Leon Draisaitl is looking to one-time that puck in that spot. And he was coming out aggressively, and unfortunately for him, there was a wall that was put up and there was nowhere for him to go. And for Bouchard, maybe one of the easiest ones he's going to score in his career.
Janmark throws it around. Emerson, Mangiapane. That's bumped away by Nemesnikov. Held in by Kulak. Tosses one down low. Came off the boards. Here's an extra pass from Janmark. He was trying to find Henrique. 5-on-5. Edmonton maintains momentum. Kulak, a strike to Janmark. Rolls up top. Henrique. They'll whip it around. Kulak, who's never missed a game as an Edmonton Oiler. Peering inside. Trying to shot. Blocked by Iafallo. Rebound grabbed by Henrique. Coming up on 5 minutes to play in what has been a dominant first period turned in by Edmonton. Coming off a 9-goal onslaught over Seattle on Thursday. The momentum has been maintained, to say the least. Draisaitl to put Colson. Kind of flubbed the shot. Comrie had trouble controlling the rebound. Now he'll put it to rest. 4:58 to play in the first. The latest damage inflicted by that man, Evan Bouchard. A power play blast on Hockey Night in Canada. With a couple of points tonight, past Jari Kurri for the most at even strength. Second most, obviously, to Gretzky in Edmonton club history. So it's 4-0 Oilers. Some would say this loomed as a potential scheduled loss for Winnipeg. 7th game in 11 days. The Jets have been outshot 15-3. And to this point, I mean, that tells the tale. It's been a butchering. Plain old butchering. Draisaitl gives it up, put Colson. A lot of time left. Regula steps up, a shot and a save made. Comrie off balance, and he'll freeze it.
A little extra there with Pionk and Podkolzin. Pionk trying to get something going here as Lowry comes in.
Jets have been outshot 15-3. And to this point, I mean, that tells the tale. It's been a butchering. Plain old butchering. Draisaitl gives it up, put Colson. A lot of time left. Regula steps up, a shot and a save made. Comrie off balance, and he'll freeze it.
A little extra there with Pionk and Podkolzin. Pionk trying to get something going here as Lowry comes in as well.
Bravery lives in Marie-Philippe Poulin, 3-time Olympic gold medalist. Watch her compete with Team Canada starting February the 6th on CBC and CBC Gem. Can hardly wait. I mean, I'm sorry, when it comes to Winter Olympics, little figure skating, little speed skating, but I look forward to the 2 hockey tournaments. I got to be open and honest about it. Bouchard, Ekholm, the drive redirected. That's always been the case. Here's Morgan Barrett sending it ahead for Kepke. Bouchard off to Ekholm. Trying to work it free. Kepke spun it out. Sandberg. I do like that one event. What do they do? They shoot and then they ski or something?
Cross-country skiing. And
yeah, that one I just find the combination
very difficult. I mean, all the events are
for sure
very difficult, but I agree with you. Hockey's the big dog.
Okie, what do you got for me? McDavid brings it in. It better be good.
No, I just wanted to tell you guys who clearly are not experts in winter sports, you were talking about biathlon. That's when they shoot and ski, okay?
Yes.
There you go.
I am a winter sport expert.
That was good. I am fascinated
by time, but I didn't want to be wrong.
Yeah. Okay, you got to tell me the history of who put those two together. Here's Hyman, brings it across the line.
You
Gets it back from Emerson.
Max. Oh my God. Cross-country skiing.
Oh, no thanks. McDavid, Emerson, Kulak peering inside. Oh, here's a collision. I think McDavid might get nailed for goaltender interference here. Comrie went awkwardly into the goalpost, and McDavid caught him, and he knows it. So this is a delayed penalty on the Oilers, who are up 4-0. Jets get a 6th attacker out there. Rough period in more ways than one for Eric Comrie. Morrissey to DeMello. Now Cole Perfetti at center, and as it's touched up by Mangiapane, we'll have the goaltender interference minor whistled against the Edmonton captain.
Well, sometimes it's the lanes you choose, and for here McDavid, he tries to sneak through here, and then Comrie just backs into him and pinches it off. That's his space. He's just trying to follow the play and makes that collision, so goal interference is the call. Yep, just boom. Tried to squeeze through there, didn't quite make it. He knew it right away too. His body reaction afterwards kind of told the tale. He knew he got caught.
But that's the kind of play you make when everything's going right for you. You feel like you can find every angle and every lane that's out there. Jets have not had a shot on net in more than 13 minutes. 4-0 Oilers. Winnipeg looking for some kind of traction in this game as the puck got entangled in the webbing. Bouchard thought he had it clear. Jets haven't scored on the power play in their last 5 games. They're on an 0 for 10, 1 for 16 skid. Pair of 19s in the circle. Henrique against Taves. And off that draw, it's slammed down the ice by Bouchard. 2 minutes to go in the period. Jets looking for something to latch onto. That's positive. Niederreiter. Perfetti saucered it back. Pionk steps up, no shot. Savoy challenging up top. Saucer back to Pionk, then moved to Taves inside. Nemestikov swinging a miss. Pionk will gather. Oiler penalty kill on the season, middle of the pack at about 81%. Emberson taken hard against the boards by Nemestikov. Janmark a little behind Podkolzin, but the second effort able to slash it away from Pionk. And that's just a microcosm of what we've seen. Winnipeg a bit drowsy, second on pucks. And the Oilers feeling like a confident team that's, for the first time this year, starting to generate momentum over a 2-week stretch.
Starting to feel their game. Bad timing for Winnipeg hitting them right now. But top line, top unit, on the ice now for Winnipeg. They were out there when the penalty was drawn, so second unit starts.
Quick shot to save on Connor by Skinner. He'll freeze it. That's a first shot in 14 minutes for the Jets, and with 61 seconds to go in the frame, it remains 4-0.
And a difficult one, too. Kyle Connor has one of the hardest shots to read in the National Hockey League, in my opinion. The way he kind of whips it to the net like that, keeps his hands tight to the body, and he just kind of doesn't really tell you when he's going to release it. Tries to go 5-hole, it looks like, on that one. Skinner down to make that save.
Heard by Ekholm up the left-hand side. Comrie to knock it down. Morrissey. Spilled back to Mark Scheifele. Scheifele and Connor continue to be the anchors on this team. Follow a nice slippery move down the wall against Lazar. Here's Connor. Half minute to go in the period. Morrissey. Kyle Connor, who has just one power play goal this year. Scheifele fires and a save made by Skinner. Rebound chipped out by Bouchard. And that will do it for the Jet power play. 2 shots on net. Skinner stops them both, and now one last rush coming for Winnipeg 5-on-5. McDavid and Draisaitl are on the ice for the Oilers. Morgan Barron across the line. Lowry flicked it into the slot. Punch back to the point. Shot by Sandberg is blocked, and Morrissey has seen enough for this period. Edmonton, a 4-0 period. An emphatic performance turned out in the opening 20 minutes by the Oilers.
Yeah, they came out skating. Everything was at the net. Lots of time in the offensive zone, and they were relentless getting pucks on Eric Comrie. 16-5 the shot totals after that this first period for Edmonton in their favor. 4-0 heading into the second.
First time since the season finale in April of 24, the Oilers are up 4.
Montreal on October the 25th. It'll be the 3rd Heritage Classic hosted by the Jets. The first was October 23rd, 2016, with the start delayed for 2 hours because of glare from the sun. Game could not begin until the sun went down behind the Manitoba Liquor and Lottery sign, and I see no symbolism in that. Start time for the 2026 Classic has not been confirmed. We assume the league will not take the chance it did in 2016. Oilers rolling tonight, Jets in a deep hole, and Thomas Milic has taken over in goal from Eric Comrie to start the second period. Jack and Louis with the call.
Thank you, Scott. And once again, Eric Comrie's night complete. Stopped 4 of 16 shots, got barreled into by Connor McDavid. His team could not take advantage, and now we begin the second period 5-on-5. Thomas Milic, just 22 years of age, and a drive by Hyman was blocked. His 3rd NHL appearance. Prior 2 years spent between the American and ECHL. Struggled a bit in the American League last year. And of course, an absolute stalwart for the Seattle Thunderbirds in the Western Hockey League, for whom he won a championship a couple years. Scott, what else you got?
Jack, just time to say, don't miss out on the Oilers Caring for Oil Country 50-50 presented by Rogers. The jackpot is at about $650,000 now and climbing for tonight's draw. So get your tickets now anywhere in Alberta at EdmontonOilers.com/5050.
So I ask you, Louis, he just watched Eric Comrie give up 4 in the first period. Yeah. What's he thinking about right now? Well, he knows the Oilers are rolling.
He's young enough and inexperienced enough to maybe just want to get in there and play. And that's maybe what Scott Arneal's hoping right now for his team. 4-0 after the first period. 16-5 in shots. And sometimes that can wake up your team as well. When a young guy goes in there between the pipes, you tighten up even more defensively to try and play a stronger game in front of him. And I think that's what he's hoping for here, to try and spark somewhat of a comeback here, down by 4.
Jonathan Taves and Lowry trading the puck down low. Draisaitl has it bumped out by Savoy.
But there's no question he's nervous. But that's part of it, isn't it? This is his 3rd appearance in the NHL. He's happy to be here. He's happy to be between the net pipes and in the net. Doesn't matter what game it is. He's going to get in there. So go play.
5th round pick, 2023. That was the year he won that WHL title in Seattle. Was a goaltender for a World Junior team. Taves rushing in. Punched it back behind the net. That's sent up the boards and out by Brett Kulak. Fielded flawlessly by Sandberg. Pursued by Janmark. Wired up the left-hand side and tipped in by Niederreiter. Kulak to Mangiapane, bumped off the puck by Nemestikov, and here comes Perfetti. Winnipeg determined to make a game of this. Again, at the end of a stretch of 7 games in 11 days. Oilers know all about it. They just did it in a road trip. Finished 3-3-1. That would be the Jets' record if they could somehow come back and win this game tonight.
And I And similar to Edmonton on that long road trip, one game at home last night versus Buffalo, and then right back on the road for the seventh city in 7 games for Winnipeg. So almost that home game feels a little bit like an extension of the road trip, but it is nice to reset quickly at home.
Emerson to Janmark, but you're right, when you arrive the day before, Lazar shoots and scores. Greeting Milic with Edmonton's 5th goal of the night. Curtis Lazar is 2nd of the year, and the Oilers continue to pour it on.
Tough first shot for the kid here. Curtis Lazar in the slot. He's got some time to pick his spot. Good job to drive this puck into the zone by Emerson. He's the one that carries it over the line. A little stop up by Janmark in the spin, and it's the trailer Lazar that's in the high slot as he kind of funnels into the middle. Right-handed shot, could have one-timed this, but it's a little behind him, so he's got to reach back, reset, and lets it go all in one motion and beats Milic on the glove hand side. 5-0. Tough first one to face.
Bouchard bumped up the right-hand side. Lazar from Janmark and Emerson. Once again, the Oilers get a depth line to produce as they did in that romp over Seattle on Thursday. Morrissey tries a wrist shot off the rush that's handled easily by Scout. Fiercely fought between Frederick and Pearson. And now Frederick the other way to the net. Shot stopped, rebound available. Frederick comes up with it on his own. And once again, the 4th line creating havoc in the Winnipeg zone. Tomashik out to Regula. Nurse gives it back to him. McDavid on the ice, a strike to Regula. Back to Connor McDavid. Across, Nugent Hopkins bangs one off the goalpost. Rebound slashed away from McDavid. Shot by Regula. Save made. Nugent Hopkins in the vicinity and finally dug out by Cole Koepke as Edmonton continues to pepper the Winnipeg goal. Nurse sends it in. That was not touched, so it's icing against Edmonton as Nugent Hopkins comes with an eyelash of making it 6.
Yeah, no rest for Milic here as he gets in between the pipes. Edmonton continues to put pucks on net. This is Trent Frederick with a nice drive, backhand to forehand. Good left pad save by Milic there, and then Nugent Hopkins has always had a great shot from that spot. Goes far side, off the bar, over the blocker. Goalie's best friend.
Hammered by Peon. Connor able to keep it in. Scheifele banged it off the back of the goal, then got it to Kyle Connor. His pass broken up by McDavid, who receives a pass from Hyman and flicks it out to center. Peon steps up and dumps it back in for the Jets. 5-0. Edmonton with 4 in the first and 1 more here in the second. Hyman jams it in deep. Milic up the right-hand side, held in by Ekholm. Now Draisaitl protecting. Bouchard flashed it behind the net, corralled by Luke Shen. Up the right-hand side, but Iafallo can't get it out. Savoy. Ekholm failed to hold it in. We'll curl it over to Bouchard and a reset for the Oilers. Savoy on to Draisaitl, twisted in front for Podkolzin. One-timer ripped by Ekholm, and that's deflected out of play.
Make it a place you'll never forget. BetMGM Sportsbook. Make it legendary.
Well, Sunday night, don't miss the season finale of Heartland. This is tomorrow. Amy and her family struggle with some tough decisions about the future. You can watch that free on CBC Gem. Draisaitl digs in for a draw against Adam Lowry. Pulls it back, Bouchard. Jonathan Taves able to grab it off the corner board, send it ahead for Dylan DeMello. Put it around the boards. You've got Sandberg. Cut off by Ekholm. blasted by Adam Lowry. Here's Podkolzin. Centering pass and then deflected. Savoy has it stolen by Velarde. Well, we've seen this tail from the other side as well. Taves a centering pass. Remember the season opener last year, 6-0 Winnipeg.
Yep.
Pionk smacked one right into Podkolzin, and that ends up sailing out of play with 6 minutes gone by in the second period. Curtis Lazar, as Podkolzin shaken up, he'll hobble off. Lazar exults in his second as an Oiler.
New views, new memories. No passport required. Unplug and unwind in Nova Scotia with last-minute deals on Verbo.
He jingles. She does not. They agree on nothing except Subway's festive faves meal. Freshly sliced turkey, savory stuffing, rich gravy. Subway's festive faves
Go
meal
backward.
deal, just
Go forward. Speed
$9.99.
off.
Tomorrow to prepare for Dallas
Go
on
back.
Tuesday night, get back to playing every second night. The Oilers are in the easier part of their schedule. That will not happen for the Jets until the new year, Jack.
Well, and Scott, quite frankly, the NHL and the NBA share this. They've got an 82-game schedule, and in any year, there's just games that you start looking at as those could be scheduled losses. You talk to coaches. Yeah, you talk to coaches around the league. 4 or 5 a year on the schedule loom as exceptionally tough to win on paper. This would certainly be one for the Jets, and they just haven't had it. I have followed a Scheifele ahead to Kyle Connor, puts the brakes on, feeds Morrissey, and that shot deflected up and out of play. And as you pointed out, Louis, they've also run into a bit of a buzzsaw with the Oilers playing their best hockey of the year.
Well, their best stretch by far, and good stick right there by Ryan Nugent-Hopkins on the Morrissey attempt, and for Scott Arniel right now as he's trying to, work his team into finding their identity and finding some consistency in the game. The same thing that Edmonton went through earlier in the year, and that's 7-11, 9 different cities in 9 straight games that they played that stretch, coming home for one, then into Seattle after a 7-11 road trip. So it's a hectic schedule. Everybody's dealing with it. Winnipeg's right in the heat of the battle now, and I think for Edmonton, though, they've had that time this week, longest homestand of the year for them, this stretch, to be able to kind of work on some things, get some chemistry in practice, work on some things they certainly needed to, and it showed in the last few games. They've been building towards this.
A little bit of miscommunication with Regula and Skinner, but the Oilers are able to clear it out. Held in by Lucian. Regula knocked down to one knee. Henrique didn't get it out initially, but gets some help from Janmark on the backside. Rolls free in the neutral zone. Niederreiter pumps it back in for Winnipeg. Jets came in at 14-12 and won. The Oilers 12-11-5. So both teams entered today's play a point out of the wild card. And again, I mean, you're still talking about 55 games left of the year. So you don't want to get too caught up in it. But these are two teams that are at very similar stages. They're built to win right now. Barron. So a little more urgency this time of year for a couple of veteran clubs wanting to get going in the right direction. Barron a backhander and a save made by Skinner, and he'll cover up. And now the frustration, Barron and Nurse jawing at one another. They'll be separated by the linesmen Bevan Mills and Caleb Epperson.
Solid shift by this line. They scored 2 goals last night, the 4th line for the Jets, and they've been desperately looking for some production down the lineup. The top line of the Jets has been so prolific this year. They've relied heavily on them and need more lines to kind of step up and more players. 2 goals by the 4th line last night in that win over Buffalo. This is a good shift, and this is kind of a shift you can build on for Winnipeg, and they need to do more of this because they haven't spent a lot of time in the offensive zone. Big line, this 4th line, go to work. The wraparound by Barron handled by Skinner, and he pounces on that, and a little extra afterwards. You're hoping the next line out follows it up.
To illustrate your point, Louis, the top line is accounted for 41 Winnipeg goals this year. The other 3 lines a combined 30. So they have been reliant. Now, they're not the only team that's a bit top-heavy. The Oilers, their top 2 lines tonight, 48 goals. Lines 3 and 4, 12th coming in.
They need it too. Two teams that are in very similar situations to start this year, looking for more from others.
Frederick to Lazar, bangs it in deep, but now it's Pion. Ahead to center, Josh Morrissey. He'll deal left side for Lowry, and now Taves. Gabe Velarde with Savoy on him. Taves wrapped up with Kulak. 4-player pileup. Jonathan Taves scored his next to last goal, number 371 of a total of 372 with the Hawks in this build. Back in January of 2023, he's got the puck. Send it up to Iafallo.
You and I were talking about before the game. Good to see him back in uniform. Missed all last year. Obviously has dealt with some issues that he had to step away from the game, playing for his hometown team now in Winnipeg. 15 years in Chicago with 3 Stanley Cups. Selke, Conn Smythe, Mark Messier Award. I mean, that was a dynasty in Chicago he was a mega part of. But good to see him. Good to see him on the ice again.
And again, took 2 seasons off.
There you go. Thank you. Yes.
And as you know, Louis, having played the game at the highest level, that is a tall order for anyone, no matter whether you're a first ballot Hall of Famer or not.
Still trying to find this game, right? And work himself back into it. This game doesn't wait for anybody.
Here's McDavid. Stick handling, rolled off, a chance to clear. Scheifele didn't get it done. Here's McDavid, given a second chance. Trying to go backdoor, broken up. Nice play by Logan Stanley.
Yeah, get that big stick down. That was a tap-in backdoor, it looked like, for Hyman.
Hard hit on Scheifele. He'll come off. Little drop from Bouchard to McDavid, who feels like he's at the 78 RPM level tonight. Dropping it off for Nurse. Little extra jump when the team is going. Nugent Hopkins thrust back to Alec Regula. This week started with a hard luck 1-0 loss to Minnesota for Edmonton. Wallstead so good for the Wild lately. McDavid, one-timer ripped out the other side by Hyman. Had it go off the heel of his stick just a bit. Pushed it wide. Cole Perfetti. For the Jets, trailing 5-0 with 9 minutes to play in period 2. Skinner, who came in to this game having stopped 49 of 50 in his last 2 starts. He was outdueled by Wallstead.
Means, now, check out a new song, Cartoon Golf. Have a nice day.
And then the Oilers exploded against the Kraken. Josh Morrissey. Pion gives it back to him. Morrissey will fling it in. Kulak and Tanner Pearson come together. Hovering close by is Barron to nudge it free, but there's Emberson on the puck for Edmonton. The outlet misfires, reeled in by Pionk at center. Reverse pivot on Mangiapane. And a handoff to
Gmail,
Morris.
now, Spotify, score 4 months of premium for $0, $12.69 after. Cancel anytime. Terms apply. New to premium only. All the songs you want without hearing ads. Get Spotify Premium. Be your own DJ. Curate the perfect playlist or discover new tunes. Claim for 3 months of ad free.
The embark by Mangiapane. He can't get a shot away. And then flipped out by Velarde.
This device is already connected to iPhone. You can ask me to disconnect it.
Had a stick lifted by Lowry, still was able to snatch it back to Lazar, who scored Edmonton's 5th goal in this, the 2nd period, after the Oilers got 4 in the 1st.
TuneIn Radio, now, Jennifer Hudson takeover. Jennifer Hudson steps behind the mic spinning favorites, sharing stories, and setting the vibe. Tap to listen.
Bouchard guides, cut off by DeMello. He ran into a pair of Oilers, and Bouchard and Lazar. Ekholm a peek up ice. Tomashik didn't get out initially, but he'll get some help from Ekholm, and now Tomashik will make certain of a cross-corner dump in. DeMello finds the hulking 6'7" Stanley. That play ruled onside as Iafallo backs his way in. Feeds Scheifele. Reshot score underneath the bar, and the Jets are on the board at 5-1.
They're going to take a look at this to my right on the entry into the zone, but what a shot by Scheifele here. I mean, this is a laser bar down. glove, and it was off the stick in a flash. Here's the pass up the ice.
Precedes.
Ooh.
He doesn't have possession. Yeah, this will come back. That's why I said ruled onside.
Absolutely.
That was a little hint.
It looked like it was all in one motion, but tough one here. And this is kind of the night we think this is going to come back, but this isn't. I mean, this is top notch here by Scheifele, who's had a terrific season this year.
Yeah, there's the challenge. He just doesn't have possession. Scheifele, absolutely a rip job upstairs, but when you hear me mention ruled onside, that's usually an indicator that I'm not sure.
Yeah, it's really close.
Yeah, he doesn't have possession.
You've got a great look from where you are, too.
He doesn't have possession.
Again, our first take is that this is going to be offside because he's sliding.
Precedes, doesn't have possession. Yeah, that's offside.
That's pretty clear cut. So Iafallo just trying to time that perfectly, crossing the line. Enters just a little bit too quickly.
If that pass arrives harder
and earlier, money.
Then you can back your way in all day.
Rick Nash used to do it all the time.
Here's Cody Beach.
After Edmonton's coach's challenge, it was determined the play was offside. We have no goal.
It's a crack call.
Tough one again for the Jets. I think they've got some life, and it's Scheifele who buries one. And what kind of says it all on how the night's gone so far. But the correct call. Good challenge.
Scheifele, his last 2 full seasons, 42 and 39 goals. He and Connor both career-high point totals a year ago. And you can see the kind of finisher he is, but that one won't count.
Both of them have that elite finishing ability and quick release. That was a real quick shot, similar to how Connor shoots it. Both of those guys playing off of one another. They thought they'd been on the board, but taken back on the offside. Still 5-0 Edmonton on Hockey Night in Canada.
On a frosty December evening, Louis, the Oilers waited 25 games before they had McDavid, Hyman, and Nugent-Hopkins all in the same lineup the same night. What effect have you seen?
Well, it's just the five-sim is incredible together. That's the top power play unit, and they know how to work the puck around and together. You saw it in action on the power play they've had in this game already, but those numbers in the last 2 games tells me that Hyman's starting to play. That's a good save on a pretty quick wrister into the zone. Hyman's finding his game. You know, he missed a lot of time with the hand. The hands are the last thing that are going to come back. He scored a beautiful goal against Seattle, and he's been active again in this one. Here's a little battle between Barron and Draisaitl. I like this from the 4th line of Winnipeg, though. They're not packing up the tent just yet. They're like, hey, we're going to battle all the way to the end, and I like that jam. And also Ryan Nugent-Hopkins coming back into the mix after missing 9 games with an injury. You know, he jumps right back in seamlessly, and there's no coincidence the power play is firing on all cylinders again.
And you've kind of seen it translate into 5-on-5 play as well.
Yeah, I mean, when your power play is going for offensive players, when they're feeling the puck and they're making plays, I think they go hand in hand. They always have. You know, offensive players want to feel the puck. They want it on their stick. Power play allows them to do that. When you're productive and you're feeling it, it carries into the 5-on-5, and I think we've talked about the line combinations as well. Something that the Winnipeg Jets have had to struggle with this year with some injuries and guys in and out of the lineup. Adam Lowry missed some time. I mean, he comes back in. A little bit of shuffling last night in the lineups to try and find a little different mix for Scott Arniel, but for Edmonton, they're finding lines they're able to keep together. That wasn't the case to start the season. A lot of mixing and mingling with different players in the lineup.
Well, you mentioned Lowry. He had off-season hip surgery, and if you talk to those close to the Jets, they'll tell you he's not all the way back.
Takes time. I mean, he's grinding. No question about it. He's still that big physical presence, but it just takes time, and it's the timing in this game. As I said before, it doesn't wait for anybody, and as the season goes along, you can see it's going to get quicker and quicker and quicker.
He scored maybe the biggest goal of this era of Winnipeg Jets hockey. That overtime Game 7 winner against the St. Louis Blues as the Jets got up off the deck and won a series that appeared certain they would lose and ruin a President's Trophy winning season. Then they gave Dallas all they wanted in the 6-game loss in the conference semis. Here's McDavid hitting McDavid. Or excuse me, McDavid hitting Hyman. That would be
pretty tough, but he might be able to do it. I saw him throw a long pass in junior against Sault Ste. Marie in the playoffs one time to himself. A little alley-oop to me.
Ekholm whipped around. Nugent Hopkins bobbled up by Pionk. Velarde to Taves. Tried to sneak one inside to Lowry. And again, when we say he's not all the way back, that's not a criticism. That's just a fact. He's playing well. He's just not at maximum efficiency right now. He's a guy who had a career-high 16 goals himself last year. Here's the end mark. Double team as the Oilers in the midst of a change. And Lowry was stopped on a penalty shot last night. Fought Jack Guy earlier this week, so he's had an active week.
We're going to talk about all that on After Hours. Scott Oak and I have had him on the show afterwards. I'm sure if it remains the way it's going right now, he won't be in the best of spirits, but a class act. Always great to chat with Adam.
I hope you brought some of that jerky from that deer you got the other day. That might soften him up a little bit. Yeah. Adam Lowry on After Hours. Meanwhile, Canadian celebrities asked honest and unexpected questions by neurodivergent interviewers on the Assembly. All episodes available. Watch free on CBC Gem. And Louis, I have to say, I butchered McDavid to McDavid, but that is the first time I have ever uttered the word neurodivergent, and I got through it unscathed.
Did it pretty well.
I have never uttered that word before in my life. And I'm the son of an English professor. Here's Velarde. I don't think Lloyd knows that word. Shot off the glove of Stuart Skinner. Rebound, Brett Kulak. Butter, I'm coming after you after the game. You got to give me a heads up when I've got to say a word like neurodivergent. Here's Kulak. What? Shot by Emerson. And that's snared by goaltender Thomas Milic. 4 minutes to go, second period. Oilers in cruise control at home on Hockey Night in Canada.
Nothing, and Evan Bouchard's power play goal to make it 4-0 Edmonton. So 4 goals in 10 minutes and 31 seconds, eventually driving Eric Comrie from the net, and it's 5-0 Oilers now.
Thank you, Scott. Nurse off to Podkolzin. He jumped in with a biathlon, but I noticed he didn't back me up on neurodivergent. Here's Draisaitl with Scheifele trying to power it out. Draisaitl got it right back, trying to slide it to the corner for Savoy. Boy, Savoy and Podkolzin. Draisaitl's rubbing off on them. They're going to the corners. They are going to the corners. Unbelievable. Here's Scheifele a shot off the rush. That shattered Nurse's stick. And a smart play by Podkolzin to golf it out of the zone, knowing Nurse didn't have any lumber. Scheifele able to settle it down.
That was pretty close to being a perfect pass by Draisaitl. Quick little head check to see that Podkolzin was coming late. Too many guys have the confidence or the coach's authority to throw it from wall to wall like that in the neutral zone.
Frederick a shot and a save made by Milic. But we see it so often, Louis, it doesn't even really ring a bell with us anymore.
Yeah.
He tries 7 or 8 of those a year. Scheifele sends it in deep for the Winnipeg Jets. Had one taken off the board for an offside earlier in this period. That's the closest the Jets have come to scoring. They managed just 8 shots in nearly 38 minutes of work tonight. Kepke and Pearson in deep. McDavid, shot set wide by Emberson. Hyman able to track it down. He got drilled by DeMello. Pops right back up, takes a feed from McDavid. Will give it to him. Then back to Hyman. And worked over on this shift. Cross to Kulak. That exited the zone. Edmonton's going to have to tag back up.
A little harder defending, too, for the Winnipeg Jets. Good job against the top line of Edmonton just to keep it to the perimeter. Made some plays to keep it alive, but eventually it works its way out of the zone. Fourth line versus top line.
Shot from distance by Sandberg. Handled easily by Skinner. Rebound poked away. Shen is able to hold his own for now. Coming over for a clear is Kulak. Shen across. From Sandberg to Niederreiter. And then back a little behind Sandberg. This will be a regroup for Winnipeg. With now 1 minute remaining in period 2. Oilers 4 in the first, 1 here in the second. Nemesnikov to Perfetti, and that's broken up at the line as Edmonton standing tall at its own blue. Nurse dealing with that broken stick on the ice. That's his, actually. And an icing call ultimately will be assessed against Edmonton here in the final minute.
Well, here's that pass I was talking about for Draisaitl. He takes one little scan back, and then bam, he knows exactly where he wants to put that puck. And you'll see Podkolzin's coming late. That's who he sees. It's not Savoy that this puck is for, and look who gets there. Bam. It's a little bit ahead, but Podkolzin did get to it first, so just the vision. That quick little snapshot, photographic memory.
Mangiapane backhanding one ahead for Janmark. He's cut off by Morrissey and Taves. And a reload for the Jets. Beyond to Taves, who dashes in against Regula. Regula broke in with the Blackhawks. Held in by Morrissey. Trying to shovel it toward the net. Chicago's taking it on the chin tonight against LA. I think the final there was 6-0. Here's Taves. Center ice Nurse, and now Podkolzin on to Leon Draisaitl. Draisaitl inside, initially flubbed by Savoy, and then he whacked it wide. Nurse from distance, and that's kicked to the corner by Milic at the horn. The Oilers have permitted the Jets just 9 shots through 40 minutes. They're in command, 5-0 after 2.
You saw Curtis Lazar, the first shot on Thomas Milic. He gets beat by that shot by Lazar. He stops the rest, but 5-0 for Edmonton heading into the second period. A little pushback by the Jets, in my opinion. I thought the fourth line, the strongest of the four, to go in, muck it up, and find some chemistry and chances, but so far they haven't been able to foil Stuart Skinner.
The Oilers closing in on back-to-back wins in regulation for the first time since mid-October. Curtis Lazar makes it 5-0 after.
Skinner-Pickard embrace after Pickard got the win on Thursday against Seattle had relief written all over it. Has any position in the NHL come in for more analysis and criticism this season than the Oilers goaltending? I'm not sure. But Skinner's given up 1 goal in his last 2 starts prior to tonight's. Not a lot of action tonight, obviously, but Pickard was solid in Thursday's win over Seattle. Trade rumors persist, but there has been an improvement in Oiler goaltending of late, perhaps halting for the time being at least the social media movement to extradite both Skinner and Pickard. Jack.
If you go down that rabbit hole, you're going to be down there a long time. Mark Scheifele. There is such a thing as overreaction. I think many people conveniently forget Stuart Skinner has been the starting goaltender in the last 2 Stanley Cup Finals. Alec Regula shovels ahead for Vasily Podkolzin. The other thing, Louis, is we've seen save percentages steadily come down over the last 3 or 4 years.
Shooters are getting better.
Yep.
Period.
And it runs in cycles.
You know, it does, but I think the goaltenders ruled for so long. Positionally, when the butterfly came in, they just took up so much ground, and they played the percentages. But now, you give a player 4 inches above the shoulder, they're scoring. They can put it there. And I think that the sharp angle shots you're seeing now, the movement, the ability with the skill to move it from left to right, move a goaltender out of position, all of that is what goaltenders are dealing with now. And I think just systems. Don't usually see a clean shot too often. There's somebody standing in front of you.
Dave sent one up high.
Like that right there. That tip did not miss by much.
Cleared out by Nugent Hopkins. And now McDavid challenging, dishing off, and Ekholm couldn't handle it. I've always felt you just arrived at the wrong era, Louis.
No. Yeah. I knew what I had to do.
Here's Emerson shooting it in from center. Nearly 2 minutes gone by in the third. Painful block executed by Sandberg to Rob Mangiapane. Oilers 4 in the first and 1 in the second, scored by Curtis Lazar. Nugent Hopkins, Draisaitl, Bouchard, Savoy, the goal scorers in the first period. Perfetti dumps it in. Draisaitl, goal and assist. McDavid, 2 helpers. He now has a point 22 of his last 24 against Winnipeg, with 45 points over that stretch. Here's Morrissey, banged into by Regula.
An extra little chop there from Morrissey for pitching him off the wall and holding him there. I know the Kevin and Biz want to see a little rough stuff here from Winnipeg and a little pushback. I'm kind of with them in that regard.
I was going to say,
but you know what? Sometimes you just say, you know what, another day when it's been the grind that it's been. But I get it. That's an old school mentality, and I still love it.
Barron to Cole Koepke. And again, it's not like Winnipeg hasn't done this to Edmonton in recent years. These are 2 proud franchises. Both have been around it. Neither has won it in a long stretch of contention that goes back to 2017. Jets and the Oilers met in the playoffs in 2021. Here's a steal by Connor, a wrist shot, and that stayed out. Connor ended that series, by the way. 4-game sweep for Winnipeg, where Connor Hellebuck was lights out. Draisaitl off balance. Savoy to put Coles in. Savoy tried to put it in front. Draisaitl only able to get it cleanly back. Scheifele advanced as far as the Edmonton blue line and then deposited back in the offensive zone. Draisaitl's got 3 men on him. Ekholm's stick exploded on him. Here's Kyle Connor. Beautiful move around Bouchard. Dishes off. Scheifele backdoor. And that one will count. Gabe Vilardi. Beautifully executed 3-way passing play. And Vilardi finishes for his 13th to bring it back to 5-1.
The trifecta that's hit a lot this year for the Winnipeg Jets. Terrific. Here's the mishap. Haven't been a lot of these in this game for the Edmonton Oilers. This is a turnover right to the wrong guy. Connor, who goes up over the glove, dings the bar there on the left-hand side. And then it's Connor on the entry with a beautiful little move to the middle. Backhand pass to Scheifele, and he one-touches it to Vilardi backdoor, who taps it home. A lot of movement on this play into the zone, and that's the skill that trio has. And all year long, they've been able to tic-tac-toe. So good at reading off of one another and opening up that triangle in the offensive zone. Winnipeg's on the board.
Vilardi, a career-high 27 goals and 61 points a year ago. His 3rd straight 20-goal campaign. Recently opened up about his battle with mental health. Having an excellent year and supported by 2 outstanding line mates, as you talked about, Louis. I mean, in terms of top lines, that starts with that conversation. I mean, those 3 players are just fantastic. Jets just are still trying to develop full depth around them. A shot from distance and a save made by Stuart Skinner against Dylan DeMello. Here's Mangiapane to McDavid across to Hyman. Trying to make an extra pass. That was broken up. Here's Morrissey. Controlling. Vilardi got knocked off balance by Darnell Nurse. And then powering through Hyman. Vilardi's one of the key pieces picked up in that Pierre-Luc Dubois trade. Pierre-Luc Dubois went to L.A. and Vilardi came to Winnipeg. Here's a backdoor feed. And what a save by Stuart Skinner on Vlad Nemestikov. Otherwise, things get interesting here in a hurry. Nemestikov inside, another save, that time on Scheifele by Skinner. Probably his 2 best stops of the night.
And the Jets have come out in this 3rd period, and, you know, Edmonton has to figure this out here. They've taken the foot off the gas a little bit, and Winnipeg's saying we're not going to go away. So the reaction I know the guys in the panel wanted might not be physical, but they've come out to play in this 3rd.
Icing call coming against the Jets, and that should surprise no one. As we talked about, this is a veteran-laden team.
And sometimes it takes a little while in a back-to-back and the heavy laden schedule they've had here to kind of get things going. And you're down, so you say, why not? Let's go have a period, see what happens. Easily could be 3 goals in this period. There's one by the big line and a couple good saves we just saw by Stuart Skinner. As you mentioned, his best of the game.
Well, and more than anything, when you're going home for 4, Louis, I imagine a couple of the veteran guys saying, hey, let's play a solid period, something to build on for the homestand.
Trying to take something out of the game. Simple as that. And I know that's exactly like the whole go out there and do something in the third period, whether it's physical, whether it's hitting, whether it's get on the board. Do something that you can feel good about to bring your game into the next one. And it's a good mentality to have. And we talked about this Jets team. They're a veteran team. They're not going to sit back and just go away quietly. And now they've got a little juice here after getting on the board and could have easily had a couple more.
Well, and in that Central Division, you've got Colorado with 2 regulation losses all year. As Kepke wires one upstairs. Skinner makes the save. You cannot afford to fall too far behind. Gabe Velarde puts the Jets on the board, but it's still 5-1 Edmonton on Hockey Night.
Last chance to get in on the Oilers caring for Oil Country 50-50 presented by Rogers. Jackpot is heading for $750,000. Get your tickets now anywhere in Alberta at EdmontonOilers.com/50-50. Scott Arniel's been shuffling his lines a bit tonight, but here are some numbers over the last 21 games to support the Jets' reliance on the top line, as Jack and Louis talked about in the second period. And add this to it, 42 goals from Connor, Scheifele, and Velarde are more than what the rest of the Jets forwards combined have scored. Arniel at times has thought a lot about breaking up the top line to provide spark elsewhere, but that would come with the risk, and tonight the top line is the one that's produced.
Not to forget that Scheifele's had goals in back-to-back games taken back for offside too, so could have had a couple more there, but that line has been so dominant. When you have that type of a line that just has such a great chemistry, it's hard to go away from it.
Draisaitl winds it along. And again, part of it goes back to Jonathan Toews still rounding into form and adjusting to no Nick Ehlers, one of the core pieces for a long time, and a fixture on that second line, if not occasionally the top unit. The other thing is Cole Perfetti. Coming off an ankle injury.
Similar to Lowry, right? Yes. This time coming back, trying to get back up to speed.
I mean, Cole Perfetti, lest we forget, is a guy that's hovering right around that 20-goal mark. You wonder, Louis, if he can get through an 82-game campaign, what he's fully capable of.
Yeah, he's battled some injuries in his career. And, you know, again, just when it doesn't start off great, you start to push, you start to grip the stick a little bit tighter, and just things aren't going well. And when you're trying to find scoring down the depth, too, here's a little break, but no broken up. For the Jets, like Scott Arniel is, you know, we talked about the first line, the fourth line in the game last night that had the production. When you're missing that production in the middle 6, it's pretty hard to win. And this is a great defensive team, so they rely on that heavily, but you got to find scoring down your line.
Matthias slithers through Sandberg. Now Bouchard rifles a pass to Nugent Hopkins, tried to give it up for Hyman. That was broken up. And the Jets are able to send it tumbling out of the zone. Ekholm to reload for Edmonton as we come up on 11 minutes to play in the third. Oilers built a 5-0 lead after 2. Velarde has gotten the Jets on the board. Here's Mangiapane. 5 Jets collapsed on him, and predictably the puck funneled back through the neutral zone. And Mesnikov on to Kyle Connor. Down low to Perfetti. Stapled there by Kulak. Puck extracted. Emerson did not get it out. Here's Perfetti. Spin move on Adam Henry. Shot from distance. Redirected. Rebound thrown in front. And Kulak will flick it off the backhand side. And Pionk to recover.
There's a little shuffle there. Kyle Connor getting a shift with Mesnikov and Perfetti just trying to find some offense. Good shift in the offensive zone by that line.
Barron darting down the left wing, tried to center. Kepke was taken out before he could make contact with a puck. Tomashek make sure to muscle it at least as far as center. Frederick got hammered by Barron. And though knocked off balance, stays in the fight. Sandberg will wrist it down deep. Skinner calling signals for Nurse to Regula. He gets wallpapered by Kepke. Pearson able to slash it free against Lazar. The centering pass deflected up top for Sandberg. One-timer belted wide by Kepke. He was a double-digit goal scorer last year for Boston. Shot kicked out by Skinner against Pearson from distance. And now another battle kind of won by the Jets toward the front of the net. Frederick looking to reverse for Nurse onto Regula. And finally the outlet for Curtis Lazar. But again, the Jets won't let Edmonton out. Velarde won a battle and powered it back down low. Nurse threw it. I believe that clipped the glass before finding the netting. And now some rough stuff. Morrissey and the Jets frustrated. Regula in the mix.
And Regula and Morrissey got into it a little bit earlier in this period. It was Morrissey didn't like the ride into the boards and got a pretty good chop.
Velarde and Nurse wrapped up for a bit. Frederick out there with Scheifele. And ultimately, all potential combatants separated and pried apart. (5-1) Edmonton. Little pushback coming for the Jets after the hit by Regula.
The defensive zone. Smart plays out of the zone. Get the puck in the forward's hands. So some good work from Alec Regula.
And as a result of that rough stuff, we'll play 4-on-4 for the next 2 minutes. Draisaitl, McDavid, Bouchard, and Ekholm out there for Edmonton. Scheifele, Connors, Sandberg, and Pionk for Winnipeg. Sandberg a little off balance, gave it away to Ekholm, and here come the Oilers. McDavid on to Draisaitl, each with a couple of points tonight. Draisaitl shoots and just missed left side. Milic on for the Jets. He replaced Eric Comrie, the starter, after the first period, where Comrie gave up 4 on 16. But he did not have much of a shot. Winnipeg thoroughly outplayed. Pionk to Connor. Got through Draisaitl. Button hooks and angles one back to Pionk. Wrist shot deflected at the feet of Bouchard. Connor able to come up with it. And then Draisaitl plows forward and sends a rolling puck just out of the reach of McDavid.
If he's able to reach that, he's off of the rails. I don't think Stanley can catch him there.
Just took it from Pionk. Kulak steps up, dishes off, gets it back, and rips it off the shoulder of Milic. And then the rebound backhanded just wide by Zach Hyman. Logan Stanley puts one in the feet of Lowry. He'll have to reset, paw his way through Zach Hyman. Dramatic first-round series. Time goal in the final seconds for the Jets against the St. Louis Blues, when defeat appeared certain. And then Lowry won it in OT. Kulak engaged with Velarde, the only man to beat Stuart Skinner tonight. Nurse ducks out of range of Lowry onto Zach Hyman. And Nurse will activate up ice with Nugent Hopkins, who opened the scoring for Edmonton 3 minutes in. The Oilers got another one a minute and a half later. And by the 7-minute mark, it was 3-0. The Jets haven't seriously challenged since. Barron on to Cole Kepke for too long on court. That one was deflected away by Bouchard. Behind the net, Pearson working against Adam Henrique. Inside a one-timer and a good save on Morgan Barron by Stuart Skinner. He's had to be sharp in this third period. The Jets haven't gotten a ton of chances, but they've been good ones in the slot when they have. Well, it's the Minnesota Frost versus the Boston Fleet. Early season PWHL action. Frost, Kendall Coyne, Schofield coming off a hat trick in Ottawa earlier this week. She looks to keep it rolling tomorrow. 3 Eastern, 1 Mountain on Sportsnet 360.
Heavy forecheck here by McDavid sets up this play in motion. Kulak with a little give-and-go blast. Good blocker saved by Milic. And then the hard work here in the third period by Winnipeg has created chances like this. This is just dogged work, not allowing Edmonton to get out of the zone. They couldn't quite do that in the first 2 periods, but in this third, They've been hard on the forecheck, hard on the walls in the offensive zone, and have created plays like that. That was a solid save on the one-timer for Stuart Skinner.
Nemesnikov trapped by Frederick and Lazar. It's turned over, centered, and there's the finish. Tomashik makes it 6-1 Edmonton. Scratched the last couple, and as he did in Washington the last time he had been scratched for a few games, Tomashik's first game back ends with a goal.
Well, he has a nose around the net. There's no question about that, and that's why the Oilers signed him and brought him in from Sweden, where he was the best player on his team and in the league. And here he just gets to the spot. Good job and good work here by Frederick on the forecheck. Secondary pressure by Lazar, turns it back, and then a quick pass and a hard one by Frederick. Tomashik gets to the space on time, and the quick hands in tight. Beats Milic, 6-1.
Frederick's first assist of the season comes on Tomashik's third goal in 19 games as an Oiler. Again, a standout overseas, led the Swedish league in scoring last year. Got an opportunity early with the injury to Zach Hyman. And here's what you were talking about, Louis. Trent Frederick's work on the forecheck.
Yeah, he's had a little drive in the game, too. Got into a couple little cross-checking matches with Morgan. He's been talking to the bench beside me to my left, and that's a good sign for Trent Frederick. Moving the feet, being physical, being a little chippy, and then the hands. He's always been a great player, and good down low in the corners. Good double team with him and Lazar to find the puck, and then find Tomashik in the slot for that quick strike.
Big goal for David Tomashik. It's tough, Louis, when you play 23 minutes a night overseas. You're the top scorer, and then you're trying to find your footing on a hockey club where there are precious few spots and ice time available. He told me,
and you know what? He's kept himself in shape. I'll give him a lot of credit. You know, he's a professional, and he's a little older, so coming over to North America. Did play in Belleville for a couple of years in the Ontario Hockey League, Tomashik, but you know, he's been keeping himself ready, and that's not easy to do when you're on the outside looking in, but he's had a great attitude, and when he gets his opportunities, he's making good plays, can seamlessly jump in. Clutterbuck took that stick to the eye from Montour a couple nights ago, not eligible to play, and so he gets his opportunity and bangs in a big goal in the third here to Plattsburgh. Sorry, who did I say?
You said Clutterbuck. That's okay.
I knew I was going to say that one time.
Here's a Plattsburgh
into the corner. My apologies, Connor.
That's all right. I had McDavid finding McDavid earlier.
There you go.
Here's Kyle Connor, and he was just belted by Leon Draisaitl. Hard hit in the corner. Shifley took one earlier from Regula.
But you wait for your opportunity. You wait for your opportunity. When you get in there, you try and make good on it. In a fourth line roll, here's a pretty little
Shifley, a big slash on Regula.
A little flyby, so Regula getting into the grill of some of the top players.
These two will see one another after Christmas, and I don't think either will arrive in a festive mood. Here's Cole Koepke, a wraparound, and he banked it in. And that's goals on back-to-back nights for Koepke, who had not scored as a Winnipeg Jet prior to last night's game against Buffalo.
For drive and energy, this line's been the best for the Jets. They've come out, and I know, like the fourth line doesn't play as much as other lines. They should have a little more energy in a back-to-back situation, which they do. They had 2 goals last night in the game against the Buffalo Sabres in a 4-1 win, and this is just, again, mucking and grinding, bringing pucks to the net. 3 big guys in the fourth line, and
that's a nice job on the wraparound by Koepke to get that stick rolled over. We showed you a really good look of it. So often it kind of rolls off the toe of the blade.
And so often you don't look to try and wrap around the puck. You look to extend, keep the puck on your stick, and look for a pass. Koepke just drives it right in there, and he gets rewarded for it.
So each team's fourth line swap goals. Tomashik for Edmonton. Koepke with a puck for Winnipeg. Hyman will drop it back to Bouchard. Score is now 6-2 in favor of Edmonton. A handoff to Nugent Hopkins from McDavid. Nearly stepped on the puck, kicked it back to Bouchard, and here's McDavid. Rolling toward the net with a backhand centering pass picked off by Morrissey. Koepke the outlet And Morrissey will hustle up to the red line and dump it in. Final 4 minutes. Oilers, this is the middle game of their 5-game homestand. Winnipeg's going home for 4 after tonight. Kyle Connor up top. Schenn to Stanley. That shot trickled off Skinner. Finally dug out to Schenn. Niederreiter. Luke Schenn, who won a couple of cups in Tampa, moved off the point position, so Perfetti's pass drifts back into the Winnipeg zone with 3 minutes to play. With Pearson and Pionk the assists on the goal for Cole Koepke. Streaking down the right-hand side is Tomasik. Backhands one to Lazar, whose shot was blocked by Pionk. Skinner to Emberson, and now Curtis Lazar. Jets able to hand the Oilers in. Sandberg draped all over Kulak. Steered back to him by Emberson. And with 2.5 to go, the breakout pass flicked in by Tomasik. Neil Pionk for the 2nd time last year, double-digit goal scorer. He plays a little jam back there as well.
He's always looking to kind of get in the mix.
Oh, yeah. He's a hitter. Not the biggest body, but he uses. Scheifele to Velarde. Knocked off balance. Put Colson on to Draisaitl as we dip inside. 2 minutes to play. Leon Draisaitl. And there's a one-timer towed aside. Good save by Milic. Nurse off the foot of Savoy. Grabbed by Stanley. And shoveled back toward the Edmonton line. Nurse gave it up. It's a shot by Connor. Blockered away by Skinner off a feed from Velarde. And now Emberson will locate Podkolzin from center ice. He'll take a skate and ultimately loft one into the corner. DeMello from Stanley. Quick up. Fielded by Kulak across to Emberson, who lost the handle. Now the Jets look to go to work. Koepke, who scored moments ago to cut it to 6-2. Relieved of the puck, Adam Henrique. Mangiapane trying to burrow his way inside as we go inside a minute. Pearson the other way for Winnipeg. Now the crowd starts to make some noise as they count down the final seconds. Edmonton will go to 13-11-5. And the Oilers finally starting to put a couple of weeks worth of solid hockey together. Sandberg a steal. Off a skate. Ekholm. Tomasik turns the feet through the neutral zone. Cuts to his right. Fires. Actually had Lazar for a moment. That one instead flicked aside by Milic. Snapped in by Perfetti. High up on the plexi. Final 10 seconds. Mestikov a hit on Regula. Lazar, Nurse, and Niederreiter jawed one another. The seconds tick off as the players will be pulled apart. Stanley in the mix. Couple of left jabs, the last of which thrown in Nurse's general direction.
Wasn't a lot of this going on earlier in this game, but in the third period, a little more fight for sure from the Winnipeg Jets. And some physical play between these two teams, but cooler heads prevail at the end there in the dying seconds as it winds down the third period of the game. And an Edmonton win here. Here's the hit earlier on, a little bit of physical stuff behind. You see Koepke gets a good hit on Ekholm. He takes a slash for his, and then, hey, look at the scoreboard. That's always an easy one, but it does get into the mind of your opposition. They don't like it too much, and then a little bit of a scrum afterwards where they separate and go their separate ways.
Stuart Skinner 6-1-1 now lifetime against the Winnipeg Jets, and a little shot from Nurse on Niederreiter, and Stanley went looking for him.
Yeah, Big Stanley was cruising in there from way back, came in, and they had a few words as well, but again, separating at the end of the period. Don't want to do anything that's going to get you in some extra trouble.
Final score for Broders Place: Edmonton 6, Winnipeg 2. The Jets will go home. The Oilers continue a homestand next week. Now off to